Okay, welcome to another edition of Carnivore Bites. I'm your host, Jeff Sherman, along with Dr. Eric Lopkin. And a shot heard round the world. You're a baseball fan. I believe that was the 1960s World Series, but who knows, who cares? This is the shot heard round the world that Twitter is bought out by Elon Musk, someone that has a brain, someone that is a proponent of free speech, buys Twitter. Shot heard around the world? Am I incorrect, Dr. Lopkin?
Oh, it's definitely been heard around the world because not only are both liberals and conservatives talking about this in very different ways, but the EU has already weighed in saying, just remember, you have to follow our rules.
Yes, so isn't it interesting, Dr. Lopkin, that being older than you, I remember, the 70s and let's smoke another joint and blah, blah, blah. And it was the liberals that were like, no, we need free speech. And, you tight-ass conservatives, what are you doing? A little bit of a role reversal. Please help me out.
A lot of a role reversal. In just the past week, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and Elizabeth Warren have all stood up for censorship. When did you see any political leaders standing up saying, no, we can't have people talking?
Well, because it's very simple. They know, like a cockroach, when you shine the light on liberal intellectualism or thought process, and they're totally different, trust me, it doesn't hold up to scrutiny. They know it. They're scared shitless. Am I not correct?
They are. And I found it absolutely hysterical. One liberal commentator was talking about the fact he was terrified of what Elon Musk will turn Twitter into, because if Twitter decides that they're going to censor certain political people, it could affect elections. Really?
Really? Like it would Gomer Pyle, Shazam!
Exactly. It's like, have
really,
you not
genius?
been paying attention? This is what Twitter has been doing. That's why Elon Musk bought it, to stop this bull.
Okay, but for our listeners, and it's not searching for accolades, but I think my initial point is correct, that the Democrats and liberals know that if their ideas, their agenda is held up to scrutiny, it fails. That's the big issue. That is it.
Yes, it is. They don't want people discussing their issues. They didn't want people looking into Hunter Biden. They didn't want people looking into the Steele dossier. Why? Because it's all massive fraud. And as long as they could control the narrative and go, oh, no, that's not important. Look over here. Look over here. Twitter was a massive distraction. It kept people from looking at what the Democrats and liberals were actually doing. Well, now they've lost that.
Yes, but again, let me ask you another question, though. The people, the group that really put Biden and the Democrats over the hump is the suburban, so-called educated college. How come they're not? They're so smart and intelligent. Please help me out, Dr. How come they weren't bright enough? Forget about your political idea. A moron would know. Literally a moron. My cats know this. That the whole, Trump is calling Putin. What is this, a bad James Bond movie? Well, help me out. How do these geniuses fall for this shit?
Here's the thing. That audience you're talking about, they're not on Twitter. They don't really see that. The audience that is primarily on Twitter is actually the media. So the media was taking their leads from Twitter because that's where they were finding the breaking news. When
Especially CNN, yes.
yes, when Twitter blocked something or kept them from going, mainstream media went, "Oh, well, Twitter has already said that's not a story. We don't have to cover it." So,
Wait a second. Wait. Lopkin, that you need to repeat because that's what's missing from the dialogue and something that really hit me as soon as you said it. People think, I think people assume that Twitter's in a bubble. No, you're 100%. It's so much bigger than that. If Twitter allowed the Hunter laptop to come into discussion, CNN would have had to pick it up. But it was a easy excuse. It's monumentally huger than just Twitter, isn't it?
it is. Twitter is echoed by the mainstream media. Reporters go there to see what's breaking, and then very often they quote Twitter as their source. We've seen that over and over again. So when Twitter says, "Oh, the Hunter Biden laptop, it's fake news, we're blocking it," mainstream media goes, "Oh, well, they already said it was fake news, we don't have to look into it." Well, as it
It's a wink
turns
and a
out,
nod.
right, Twitter wasn't actually looking into anything. They were making their decisions based on their politics. And it came out in a recent survey, 99% of Twitter employees donated to the Democratic Party.
Yes.
So of course they were not going to put out anything on Twitter that would be against their interest. But it's the snowball effect. Twitter was the little snowball that rolled down the hill, became huge when it got amplified by the mainstream media. So now mainstream media is actually going to have to do their due diligence and actually do reporting. And I don't know how many of them are out there that know how to do that anymore.
I would seriously question that. But isn't the bigger theme, Dr. Lotkin, woke go broke?
Yep.
It's a fact. I mean, you look at Netflix. I couldn't believe it. I heard this today. I mean, I've heard it before, but then today it was like, that's a meltdown. That's when I was in corporate, that's firing territory.
Yeah, companies that have embraced woke
Disney.
are going broke. Netflix put out a whole bunch of woke shows, turned people off. They lost in the last quarter 200,000 subscribers, and they expect to lose millions of subscribers. YouTube had the same thing. They reported their earnings last night as part of Alphabet. They've been, canceling conservatives right and left. Their
Did they
ad
cancel
revenue
us
is
at
down.
one time, I believe?
They pulled one of our episodes down because they claimed we didn't fact check. And
There you go.
the following week I shoved that down their throats when they realized, "Oh, we screwed up."
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah, absolutely.
so you've got Netflix, Google, Twitter, Disney, all have embraced woke, and people are revolting against them. And in fact, companies are now coming out. The CEO of McDonald's came out criticizing Disney, saying point blank, "You're using the shareholders' money to push your agenda. You've got no right to do that. It's their money."
100% agree. In the real world, which the world we don't live in right now, the Disney board, the Disney top management would be immediately fired because I have to be honest with you. Unfortunately, I'll have to say this. I don't have children, but if I did, back in the 70s, 80s, I remember when I was a kid in the 70s, the Disney movies was like the mule that kicked the field goal. And of course you're going to send your kids. I'm not going to have my kids sent to like an LBGQ, whatever, indoctrination. Are you kidding me?
Well, there have been rumors, and I stress these are just rumors. We have not been able to confirm them. But there is talk within Disney that the CEO is going to be fired. They're talking about bringing back Bob Iger, who previously ran Disney, to try to right the ship. Again, it's just a rumor, but we are going to stay on top of it.
But isn't it about really entitlement? I'm assuming, I don't really care. I don't really give a what who is at the top helm of Disney. But I'm gonna theorize. Grew up very privileged, never pretty much worked at a grocery store, a gas station, never did shit, went to some bullshit Ivy League school, and woke because they never were hurting for a buck. Am I so far off?
No, not at all. You're looking at people who have never real yeah, I mean, they've never really dealt with the real world. And now, especially when you take a look at this, the woke, these are young people who basically went to college, were sheltered by their parents. They were raised, the term that used to be used was helicopter parents, because they would hover over them and protect them from everything. They've never dealt with the real world. When Elon Musk bought Twitter, Twitter employees melted down. The head lawyer who was responsible for pulling the New York Post when they posted about Hunter Biden, and who was behind a lot of the censorship, broke down and cried. On the Zoom meeting where all of this was being announced, because they've lost their safe space. Well, guess what? The world is not a safe place. If you can't deal with it, that's your problem, not the rest of ours.
But does it really, if you were an adversary of the United States and go back 80 years, landing in Normandy, brass balls I do not have. Hello. And now, fast forward 80 years later, okay, 1950, you looked at America, you're scared shit. You ain't got to screw with America. I mean, these people they're tough SOBs. If I'm like freaking China, Russia, Iran, I mean, you couldn't even, I don't know if you could function as a military, especially Biden. His big thing is the military is going to be green in 10 years. Like, okay. Yep. I hear you.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. And it's showing in what's going on around the world. Russia would never have invaded Ukraine if they didn't sense that we were weak. China would not be threatening Taiwan if they didn't think we were weak. North Korea wouldn't be experimenting with new missiles if they didn't think we were weak.
They don't think, they know. And it's like the wolf that was the head of the wolf pack, and now he is a little older, and guess what? He's challenged. They know you got numbnuts at the helm. You got Camilla, the skipper, whatever the hell you want to call it. Well, they must be looking and going, I cannot believe, and then wokeism in the military, LBGQ lifeboats, whatever, and they're going, we need to go immediately. Why not seize the opportunity? What are you, crazy?
Well, I mean, you take a look at who's running this stuff. We've got the vice president, the secretary of state, and the president. It's wink and blink and a nod.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of Blinken, he just came out with a statement. He just came out with a statement that Iran is not years away. Brace yourself, audience. Weeks away from a nuclear capability. And I'm going to have to say I'm a proud